You're listening to the voices of the Occultinarium. Keep your friends close and your diamonds closer. Welcome.
Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of the Occultinarium. We are the voices of the Occultinarium, and today's hosts are
Luigi,
Brianna,
Amelie. And today we bring you another of our tarot session episodes, where we go dive into a particular card. And today, as we're recording, is the 28th of June, 2026, and that puts us directly in the first decan of Cancer, and which is coming from the third decan of Gemini, which was the Ten of Swords. So now we are in the Two of Cups, or in the decan that is corresponding to the Two of Cups. As we touched upon in the last episode, the Ten of Swords, the difference going from the Ten of Swords into the Two of Cups, we're just at midsummer, right? So we have the highest point of the sun, we're at the highest point of the energy, solar energy of the year. And if you're looking at, well, the energy that Gemini in general brings, and now going to Cancer, we're having a very kind of opposing energy. And you usually do when you go from one sign to the other, yeah. But particularly for Gemini and Cancer, I feel like in Gemini really wants to dissect and diverge and split, and there's a lot of duality in going into the details and just splitting up. And Cancer kind of wants to do the opposite and unite, bring together. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, if you're a little confused about decans and what we're looking at, and you can just look up the decanic wheel. We just posted on our Instagram page as well, so you can get a little bit of an overview of where we are.
There's one on the community
like
page on YouTube as well.
Awesome.
Just in case.
Yeah. Okay, Two of Cups. Who does not love the Two of Cups card? You do not love it?
No,
yeah, no.
I was waiting. I'm listening to the silence. I'm like, who does not love it? Let's hear from the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about feelings. So yeah, I'm looking at you. But yeah, it's not one of the. I mean, all cards obviously have different sides to it, but it's an easier card in general to get than, for example, the 10 or the 9 or the 8 of Swords, which just come from. They can be quite difficult cards to deal with, or decans to deal with, and the Two of Cups can be a little easier, at least if you're looking at the positive side of it, right? Yeah. For some visuals, we can look at the Two of Cups. We can put up the Two of Cups of the Smith deck first, right? So in the Smith deck, it's, a couple. We're assuming it's a couple, a man and a woman, and they are having two chalices in front of them, and it looks to be exchanging the waters of life, which this decan is all about, is exchanging or sharing your waters of life with somebody else, which can be romantic, but it doesn't have to be. It's more about intimacy, but it's about love in the Thoth, also called the Lord or Lady of Love. Yeah,
Love boat.
One of my favorites.
The love card. Yes, I do love it dearly myself. As for decanic rulership in the system that our tarot cards rely on, we are having Venus in Cancer, and in the triplicity rulership, we're having the Moon. So this decan is ruled by Venus and Moon and Cancer like each other very much. So we got quite a bit of harmony there, I would say. Yeah. What would you say, Lucy? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful break from the realm that we came from, isn't it? Like we touched base upon. We went from experiencing, whether we want to call it interference, the Eight of Swords, cruelty, the Nine of Swords, ruin, the Ten of Swords. Now we're suddenly entering a chapter of love and abundance and luxury, or blended pleasure, if you will. So it's really like making a 360 degrees turnaround in a way, or a 180, as they say. I think this card, to your point, each card has light and darkness, but from what's the word that I'm looking for? From an objective point of view, I suppose, we're really in a good place here. And probably it's reflecting the zenith of the power of the sun, like life blossoming and whatnot. So in this card, in this decanic scenery and formula. Everything is harmonious. Yes, everything is celebratory. Everything is perfectly balanced, I suppose. Whether we choose the decanic rulership of Venus or the moon, like both of them share the blessings of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Yes, I
That's
think
right.
that is a very positive card anyway. The Two of Cups is also related to the Empress and to the Chariot card. So what is an indication as well is that a part of the harmony and fertility and nurture, we have to think on Cancer as well. That is what identified this sign of this period. And Cancerian people are the tendency to be, very protective and very family orientated, to look after the people around them, very stable, very balanced. So it is a period that's up to the 1st of July, Two of Cups. It indicates not only, like as Lynn was saying, not a romantic relationship per se, is the love, is the feeling, but we can see as well at work and business, it can mean as well like a good contract, a good business deal, a positive relationships for business, for relationship, romantic relationship. If it's a new one, is the good beginning, is a stable relationship, is something that it will be or have the potential to be a truthful one. If it's a stable relationship, it's an indication that the growth or the feelings, the emotions for each other is going in the right position. So yes, so the relationship with the Empress, the fertility, the household, the abundance in general, but under harmony and under protection, very nurturing, probably is what the word I was looking for. Yes, it's a card that well is related to the Queen of Cups. So again, the high emotions, very emotional card, all the feelings and expression. And what is very nice as well is the codices and the lion here. In health is the healing card. So if you are having a treatment or need to go for an operation and you get this card, it's a good omen that everything is going to be okay for you. So it's a period of healing. It's a period of emotional congruence and stable feelings. It's giving you the chance and the opportunity to express you or honestly how you feel. But as Luigi was saying, this card as well have a shadow side and a shadow aspect. When it's not balanced, it can create dependency on the other person. It can be a source of jealousy or insecurities about your partner. And so you have to think in this period as well as a period of balance and the opportunity to create something that you get inspired to and help you to grow in a positive relationship.
Yeah, and the connection that you pulled up with the Empress, and why the Empress is because we're having Cancer or Venus in Cancer, right, in the card.
Venus in Cancer.
And the Empress is or representing Venus.
It's related to relationship, to values, to balance. That is probably the real meaning behind the Two of Cups in any type of relationship you may have.
Yeah.
There is also this beautiful, I don't know if I want to call it a, a spiritual thought, a tradition, whatever word we want to attach to it, but because of the title, the Lady of Love, love as not just the poetic aspects of love, but also the primordial aspects of the connotations of the word, as in, depending on everybody's view, can be unique, as in, but possibly as the universe itself is a product of love. For things to create love, as we mentioned previously in whether it was the previous episode or any episode before then, the sacred law, the engine that creates and sustains life.
Life force, isn't it? It's like the flow. It's like in the thought card when you see the flow of the water. It's like the flow of life. It's like it's an energy, a force more than a romantic feeling.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Because it's since if you pull the card, then often people are more drawn to interpreting it as a romantic way, because that's what people come for tarot readings for. It's often like it's love, money, sex, health. right? So it's what people are interested in. So often it is that, or it's like you said, it's a contract, it's a business relationship, or it's often interpreted as that. But if you're looking at the placement or where the card is, we're having a 2, right? So we're right at the beginning, and the 2s are the very essence of the element. This is not something that has gone through filtering yet. This is not something that has gone through some sort of interpretation by human feelings, really. So what you said, it is a primordial love. I was reflecting on that earlier as well, and I feel like the actual essence of this type of love might be just a very primal force that we as human beings can't actually fully grasp or understand. Because thinking like, there's all these ideas of that the universe is love and all that love, but it's got very little to do with what we perceive as love, is how our human filter, where it's like, where it's okay, it has to do with nurturing, but then it's very often just seen as romantic or platonic or whatnot. But it might be just a very, very, very different thing altogether if you're looking at it as primal water and primal emotion, and so very unrefined, right? And in that sense, both unblemished, but also in a way, like, because it's pure, it's pure energy and pure emotions or pure water. But
And
in that
also,
sense, also something we might not really understand completely as
we
what
have
it
to
is.
take in consideration as well that is number 2 in the Tree of Life is Chokmah. So as well is that like abstract concept of wisdom, and the so enormous, because from Keter comes Chokmah, that is the fair recipient of all that universal thing that we cannot even perceive. So, and is the essence of being, is the, the name of the divine name of Sephiro is the Jehovah, and the archangel is Raziel, that is like the secret of God. So it's something that is so enormous, so profound, that we cannot have yet the understanding that will come after in the polarity. Is what, as you say, is something that is so big, it's bigger than us, that even we cannot describe what love is, isn't it? So it's a force. It's like a universal force to me, is something we cannot even describe, because it means different things for everyone. But yes, we have associated love only to the romantic aspect, or to the little love for family, for relative, for pets or whatever, but it has a bigger connotation.
Yeah, because of its purity in essence, you can say that it escapes our mundane experience of comprehension, if you will, if you want to put it that way. And I guess with the number 2 involved, in the 2 of Cups and Chokmah and so forth, even when you consider the glyph of Cancer, you have the aspect of infinity. It's like the loop. And I think the 2 of Cups, in a way, the Lady of Love, also can express, or at least refer to, the law of attraction. Like the primordial aspects that we're definitely happy and open to discuss and workshop and like just paint on a canvas, but ideally to fully comprehend them and understand them and embody them, who knows, it's something that escapes our comprehension, because it's a continuous loop of chasing. It's again the law of attraction, the infinite, genuine, and again primordial curiosity.
What is the exact relationship with the Chariot? What can you extract from that?
I guess there's multiple ways to go about it, but one of the main ways, because of the Cancer sign being the mother of the zodiac and being, if not the purest aspect of the water, at least one of the purest aspects of the water. So you got so much beauty and so much abundance and richness and whatnot that needs to be protected at the same time. And such is the Chariot with the charioteer, like the power represented by the charioteer, the individual's power, the I am power, the child's power, contain within the chariot the transport, the motion, the vessel, if you will. So there's all this understanding behind what are we really, like you and I, the 4 of us, and people listening. Yes, we understand that we are people. What does that mean? Yes, we understand we are humans. Again, what does that mean? Yes, we understand scientifically veins and bones and blood and circulation, but then there is also this aspect of our brains and minds creating images and visions, and then our hearts, yes, beating and producing life, but also leading us to feel things that only poets can talk about. And I think that's an aspect of the power within, the unquantifiable and unidentifiable power of beauty of that ocean, the beauty of that primordial sea of the mother
So can we
contain.
see each other like a vessel of that infinite force?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's no limit to what we can see each other, isn't it? There is only an invitation to go as wild as possible into the
That
search.
I feel.
Again, follow that, yeah, and follow that attraction pathway. And again, attraction not purely sexual or sensual, but again, it's an attraction that leads from chaos to order and vice versa, from order to chaos, from peace to love, from wisdom to folly and whatnot, and on so forth.
In some of the other episodes, we talked about what kind of music would this card be. And now we're talking about, and the first thing that comes into my mind is Frankie Goes to Hollywood, The Power of Love. And I feel even the lyrics, I mean, I don't remember all the lyrics, but it's like the power of love, a force from above, you get all this. And then you get actually the Cancerian with the protection, you get in there as well, because it's like there's this line with, I'll keep the vampires, sorry, Amelie, I'll keep the vampires off your
This
door
is
or
why I'm
from
not
your
a big
door.
fan of this card,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit anti-vampires, unfortunately. No, not really. Once you love forever,
Even
it's...
with the symbol of the Cancerian symbol, like this and this, like it's like as above is below, like is below is
Yes.
above, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think that's the whole thing with the card as well. I guess it's not as easy to see it in the Smith deck, but in the Thoth deck, because you have obviously Keter at the top. So this is, the 2 is obviously above the abyss, the line of the abyss. This is nothing, like you guys said, this is nothing that we comprehend, but it's also the water that is flowing because it's coming from 1 and it separates in 2 and it mixes and it keeps flowing into the primordial waters. You can really see it in the Thoth deck, and therefore I like the Thoth deck because
Yes.
because here you see like 2 people and you think like, oh, these are 2 people, they're in love, but actually this card is before Adam and Eve was invented.
Yeah. As above, so below. You were saying, and it coming from Keter, and
Yes.
then you basically have Chokmah and Binah represented by, or it could be represented by the 2 cups, and then from there it just flows down into the rest of the pillar.
So you
Getting
get
more
the
diluted
above,
and more...
so above, so below.
Can you show us the Golden Dawn card?
I was just about to say the Golden Dawn card. You can really see, because it's almost like a map, and it looks like a map behind. And you've got the 2 dolphins. The dolphins are sacred because of Venus. Am I right? And they're mammals as well. I'm not sure if they actually thought about that, but I think that's also and they're extremely intelligent too. One is gold and one is silver. So the gold is for the sun, the silver is for the moon. So you have the masculine and feminine, and you have the mix because they kind of come together there in the heart, this cute heart.
Yes.
So the waters are mixing here, and obviously here are the primordial waters.
What the hand with what is the lotus flower means?
Yeah, it's the lotus flowers, isn't it? I think
we also
maybe...
have them. We also have them in the Thoth. It's just like on top, and then they're winding around the big lotus flower. Yeah.
The lotus
what
is
is
a
the
symbol
symbol
of,
for that?
for the lotus is a symbol of divine feminine and femininity, the lunar aspects of the card. The hand is definitely a reference to Chokmah itself. I guess Chokmah and Keter, because in a way you can talk about them separately but also together, because we know that the yod, the letter that represents the hand, is within the domain of Chokmah, and we are in a number 2 card. Its source starts in Keter. So the beautiful image that Amelie is holding perfectly depicts this formula, I suppose. The infinite,
I really like it.
the wellspring. Yeah, the wellspring of Keter, which is infinite and it's pure, and it goes into further pureness, but yet not as pure as it used to be before. We don't need to do the maths about it. It's okay. And it goes into Chokmah, and it now can be expressed expressed in its wisdom being love.
And it's
And
also
also,
it's so the cups as well. I mean, in both of the cards, you can see that there's just so much energy, and there's like too much energy, and this is why the cups are overflowing. So there is the, I guess some people would say the risk, but is there a risk in it? It's overflowing, and obviously it's creating something new. So that's also like quite significant, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
and
looking at it
esteem as well.
astrologically, since we're saying like risk or what's good and what's positive, because it's a positive card. But the thing is that if you have good placements in this decan, like if you have planets that are good for you, right, in this decan, then it tends to be really, really, really good for you. But on the other side, if you have planets that are bad for you, like detriments or malefics in this decan, it's quite a very vulnerable place to have that. So the malefics in this decan are extremely bad. If you're thinking like Mars, both Mars and Saturn, if they show up in this deck, that makes it a really, really difficult placement for people to be. And I do not have that, but I have Black Moon Lilith in this, not the decan, but in Cancer in the next decan. So that is, the big wound
I'd love
and
to
all
find
about
out where I am
attachments
because
and nourishment, and it's quite vulnerable and quite painful to have, or it
Big
can be quite
responsibility.
painful to have difficult placements here, because it's a thing that really goes deep, and it wants to split you open, or it wants to be open. But if you're open and something comes, something dangerous comes in, and that's hitting hard.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it all depends.
But I also find that one thing to be aware of when it comes to this like overflowing love is that when there's two people and there's two people that meet and you love each other, there's also a sacrifice, maybe, because you're not alone anymore. So in order to be in harmony with the other person, you have to compromise. Maybe that's a better word. There is a compromise to be made. And even in the water that's flowing, that is silver and gold, once it mixes, is a completely different color. So you create something new, but you also compromise the color that you were before. So it's like, I'm sorry to be shitting on your.
If you want to keep your color, you don't go into that.
But what you're saying, Amelie, in a way, it's a beautiful reflection of the compromise that Chokmah has to make with Binah, in a way, isn't it? Like, be powerful, be infinite and whatnot. But let me contain you. Let me shape you. Let me give you purpose. Let me give you reason. That's a beautiful image.
I'll also think it's a beauty, because, if you really, really love someone or something, if there's actually real love, you will make that sacrifice, compromise, whatever. It wouldn't matter, because it's so strong. And that is the Two of Cups. It's like the strongest. It's so emotional and so strong. Maybe you will, act on emotions only, and maybe things will go wrong, maybe things will go right, but we're in the moment. Only now exists.
And it's also just everything is a lesson. So either way you choose,
exactly,
it's going to be right.
Only now exists, so you just have to go for it at some point. But it's just like, it's a give and take. But I think it's beautiful, for someone it's a gift for the other person. So you kind of like can create something different.
It should also be a gift for yourself, yes, because you're also becoming something else.
Yes, that was my point.
So it's
because you're getting something.
You're getting something.
Yeah. So I just like to be negative, I guess, but things that keep me up at night.
But it's a very emotional card as well, because also you see the planetary ruler of this card is the moon, and
Cancer,
Jupiter is assaulted. Yes, and Jupiter is assaulted in this period as well. So it's full intensity. It's like there is no prisoners here, but at the same time give you the courage to express yourself and be and feel and, be. And I think it's a certain wisdom in that love, because it's not just the romantic love that we can have for a partner, but it's that force that they have an inner wisdom in itself. And I think the best relationship we can have is with our own self first. So this is allowed as well, like a reminder, have a relationship with you, love yourself, and you'll be able, to be loved by somebody else, and you'll be able to love somebody else. But we have to start by loving our own selves. From
I don't
Keter
know
to
if you
Chokmah.
can't love yourself, how in the hell are
How
you
in the
gonna love
hell
somebody
you're gonna love
else?
somebody else?
RuPaul, hello.
But
But
it's funny that you
yeah,
mentioned Jupiter, because now that I reflect on it, Jupiter shifts to a new signs every year at this time of the year, basically. Like in the season of Cancer, it's exalted sign. So that's an interesting thing. Like this idea of expansion and blessings and gifts, prosperity and whatnot, happening in the season of the mother, happening in the season of life.
And the wisdom as well, because it's Chokmah, and the archangel in Bria that rules that Chokmah is the archangel Raziel, that he was the one who gave the Kabbalah to Adam. So it's the gift of that wisdom, that guidance to they have balance and to have the wisdom to rule your life happily. So we have to be positive about this card, that it says if there is a shadow side, it's our own one. It's not the card per se.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking when you said that you have to have like the courage to love. I personally think like at this stage, courage is not involved at all, because if you love so much, you do anything. Death is nothing. It's not courage. Courage is not even there. You just go by an emotion which is so strong and pulls you so hard that it just is. It's not like, because courage to me is almost like I'm courageous. You almost have to tell yourself like you can do it, But
yeah,
this
I think
doesn't have that.
yeah.
You
No, but
just
I
know.
think
It's an instinct, right?
if I'm
It's
giving
like
a
a
reading to
primordial
someone
instinct.
who is single or just starting a relationship, or is, trying to think that there is someone there for them, you get this card. It's a very positive card. It's a guidance to say, go ahead, love is there. So if that there is an inner fear or desire or whatever it is in there for that person, as you say, that card is so genuine, so pure, so full of an energy that is stronger than all of us together, that if that card comes across for this person, is a reassurance. So for
I
that,
think we
it's like
have
say, go ahead, it's giving
yeah.
permission to the person to feel.
I think we kind of already have this whole thing about going through something that requires courage. If you're looking at the decans before, because we're coming from the 8, 9, and 10 of swords. And
Yes.
it's like only after you're actually going through all this very like hardships or this really intense period or these intense feelings or thoughts or whatnot, to the point of self-shattering and just, ruin, or decide, okay, a sacrifice. You have the sacrifice in the 10 of swords, whether it's a self-sacrifice, a sacrifice of something that is important to you, but there's a sacrifice also in the Tecanic astrology or the Tecanic magic. If you're looking at that, it's very much about sacrifice. Also, the same time you have the summer solstice, which is also about sacrificing things for the sun or sacrificing the sun. So there's so there's a lot of imagery there. And after the sacrifice, which takes courage usually, after that, then it levels the field to be able to allow something like that primal sensation.
But it's an extremely strong transition that they have a lot of very traumatic experience that from deep suffering in the 9 of swords, 10 of swords surrender to death, and then someone is giving you the green light to say, oh, go, love is wonderful. Love heals everything, And particularly, that is quite funny this way, the Queen of Cups, she ruled the 10 of swords, so the last decan of Gemini, and the 2 first decans of Cancer. So we still, as you say, bringing that emotional aspect of the 10 of swords. And now this week, is these 10 days, is the transition that say love saves everything, love heals everything. So
yes.
you need courage and you have to need faith that it is true.
I was just going to say, for anybody who has ever gone through 8, 9, and 10, like big 8, 9, 10 of swords moments, when after that you will experience things that are like positive in a much different light, because then you've struggled for it, and then it actually feels like bam and expansive, rather than, if you've always been brought up in a very nurturing, or you just have nurturing around you all the time and it's normal. So it creates a very different balance.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that came to mind, more than a couple, but we'll start with a couple. One other spin that you can bring to the whole transition of the decanic energies, what comes to mind is the Arthurian pantheon, isn't it? Like from having the sword of truth, Excalibur, that was supposed to bring forth a period of justice and equality and whatnot, but because of the flaws that are inherently human, whether it's greed or lust and whatnot, not getting too. I want to keep to the mystical and mythical Arthurian versus the pseudo-Christian Arthurian, if that makes sense. But none. That's a nice way to. That's a nice way to. Well, not nice, but that's a way to look at the energy of this decanic transition through the lenses of myths, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think this card, every card has got exactly the same power. And by power, I mean the power to enhance your knowledge and your vision and your visual on life and different aspects of life. This one in particular, obviously, let's start with its major arcana correspondence, the Chariot. I think it can give you a further understanding on the principles of the Chariot for a couple of reasons again. One, knowing that the Chariot is the number 7, the 7th major arcana. The number 7 belongs to Venus. So we can only assume that the actions and the drive, the motivation, the engine powers, the forces, the spells, even if you want, the enchantments of the Chariot are again driven by that 4-letter word, love. But again, not pushing the agenda of love as it's sold to us in the media, but bringing us back to the primordial divine feminine aspects of love. Additionally, with the idea of the vessel, I suppose, knowing that the Chariot as a card, as an arcana, sits or stands or walks in the tree of life, again, between the infinity primordial waters of Binah and the force and gravity and strength of Geburah. So you have that beautiful image, like commanding your will to the infinite understanding and the everlasting, boundless energy and love, I will argue, of Binah versus the justice and the courage and the discipline and the strength and, but for lack of better words, the severity of Geburah.
Let me put up a visual just real quick, because you're being very manual today. So the path of Chariot is here. So if you're having the tree of life, right, then we'll be talking about like going from Binah, it's connecting Binah and Geburah. And then we've also been talking about Chokmah, because that's where the twos are represented. And this triangle here in the top. Also just check out we have several episodes about the Kabbalah or the tree of life. So if you're interested, go check out those in our channel.
Yes, please do. So you don't feel lost.
The question I have is, but you were mentioning that is the female and the feminine energy. 2 in Chokmah is not a male energy?
2 in Chokmah, it's allegedly, because with me and gender, it's always a bit of, anything goes. It is known hermetically at the very least as a male energy. However, interestingly enough, in Hebrew, it's a feminine word. It's a masculine energy. Yes, thank you. I'm just obsessed with the feminine energy. So yeah, you got the masculine hermetic correspondence. But the word itself, like wisdom, Chokmah, it's actually a feminine word. Funny enough.
The energy of the card, that loving, motherly, caring, the Chariot, the water, is a female energy.
Well, it's interesting because it's not that it doesn't matter, but if you look like both at the Thoth and at the Smith, for instance, you have 2 individuals in the Smith,
Yes.
for example, the one on the right being presumably male and the one on the left being presumably female, like Amelie's pointing out. The individual on the right can look as or can embody the energies of Chokmah, and the individual on the left can embody the energies of Binah. And the
Binah,
rulership
yeah.
of Venus, which is the planetary ruler of the
Planet,
decan of the
the
card,
goddesses.
that's the path in itself, crossing and uniting the tree, I suppose. And
So it's
the
like,
highest representation of love, even when you consider, I don't want to lose anyone here, but
no,
even when you consider the cup held by the Scarlet Woman in the Strength or Last card,
Yes.
that cup
Yes.
representing that
Mm.
path in particular, the
Mm.
highest aspect of love.
Mm.
Highest, what I mean by that, I suppose, is the most spiritual aspect of it. Because even though the Empress can be incredibly beautiful to receive in love readings, again, it's never that mechanical to an extent. It's never that purely mundane. There's a layer to it, if you will. And even in the fish or dolphins in the top deck, that principle is repeated. You can have one of the dolphins and or fish representing Chokmah and one of them representing Binah, but ultimately they flow in constant
and the next.
infinity. Yeah, they mix
Because,
and they blend and they unite and they separate. It's the magnum opus again. It reflects again the as above so below
but
mantra.
it's like fertility, it's like creator or copulation, the two forces that create something new, isn't it?
Yeah, like if you wanna look at the seed, like a physical seed, as a masculine energy principle, but still needs to be inserted in the earth, the feminine energy principle. But then you can argue, like, I don't necessarily want to make a list of which gender is more present or less present, but then you got the need for water, isn't it, for a seed to grow? So that's again
Yeah.
feminine principle. But you also need the sunlight, the masculine principle. So I think the need for us to be like who's raising their sword the highest is purely a human need. But the
No,
universal,
in the tree of life we have the masculine energy, the feminine energy,
perfectly balanced.
the pillar, the central pillar. So for that it was my question.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So I guess talking, I don't want to like say anything a little bit too much, but this is the two, and the way how it could be masculine is that the water is flowing. So this is something that is giving, which is a masculine. So you have the water is overflowing. So this card is giving, even though we have the love and we have the mix of water and stuff, this is something that is overflowing. So I take it when you go to the next card, this will be the feminine card, which will be the receiver for this card. So if you really want to think about like the tree of life, even though this feels very, feminine and fertile because of the Empress and stuff, it is still, because it's above the, it's the triad. So it's just pure. So it's a giving card because it gives even too much. It gives. Therefore, in my mind, it's masculine. But then everything else obviously playing out in the card,
And to your point, Amelie, like it's the masculine force, if you want to use this terminology, the masculine force of love that will produce the feminine abundance of the following decan,
Receive.
Yeah, like love in its motion, which you can also talk about or reflect upon as a masculine principle, like the motion aspect, the movement aspect. But once it's contained, once it lands, once it's planted, then it creates the feminine product and or result or outcome, which would be the abundance that we'll explore in the future with the Three of Cups.
Just a little side note here, because we are, for the year and everything, we're used that we're starting the year with Aries, but there are some traditions, I think some Hellenistic traditions, who actually start the wheel of the year with this decan. So instead of starting with so instead of starting with this very ego, like, how do you say, like self-exploratory and I mean, not to say selfish, but this here I am, this is what I do, bang, 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 energy.
Remember my
This is also very
name.
I remember my name, very emperor. Instead of starting with that, they start in the first decan of Cancer with the nourishing, with the Venus, with the Empress energy, which also makes sense, So
Okay.
it's, there's different traditions, and it also leans more into the patriarchic and the matriarchic energy, right? And what comes first and whatnot. But so there's some Hellenistic traditions, older traditions, where the year was starting now
And that's
instead
not
of
so
Variety.
strange,
April.
actually.
Yeah.
I mean, Helios is the sun, so it's not strange that they would start with the sun.
No,
so it
really,
makes
that
sense,
makes
even
sense.
though I
That makes
didn't.
sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It does make
also,
sense.
something that is interesting is that this decan of the first week of Cancer, it corresponds as well with the quarter that start with the Princess of Wands and the Ace of Wands. We start this with the next quarter, so the next 3 months will be under these ruling energies of the Princess of Wands and the Ace of Wands.
Yeah,
So
it's
yes, I
fire.
think it's always like a beginning and a start. It's like the gentleness, it's the opportunity, the balance. So it's very flourishing and very fulfilling. That is as well like summertime, no? Like
Yeah, and another
germinating,
beautiful,
creating things.
yeah, and another beautiful representation of the union of masculine and feminine, like the waters of the decans versus the quarterly rulership of the wands. The fire
Yeah.
on the water, the flame of the abyss, so
So
speaking.
steamy.
Sauna.
I just had the idea to make like a fan, a folding fan with tarot cards, just as I'm sitting here abusing my cards. So
That would be cool. I
think
would
it's a
get one of
great
those.
idea.
exactly. Yeah. That's that. Any last words to our Two of Cups?
Enjoy.
Mm,
It's until the 1st of July, so a few days more of
Yeah, well,
the
then we go into
infinite
abundance.
unconditional love.
Yeah. It's just gonna continue with all these really nice Cancerian cards. Oh well, the next one anyways, very nice as well. Wow. Alrighty, guys. Well, thanks for joining and thanks for listening. So we will bring you another episode of our tarot cards soon. Enjoy summertime. Do not melt away. As always, give us a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and comment if you like, and see you in the next episode. Bye.
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 We are the voices of the Occultinarium. Welcome to the rabbit holes.